So I did a video a bit ago, showing off basically the Pinephone and kind of like touching on that I was going to try and like daily drive it. So there were a couple issues that I ran into when working with it, and I hope this kind of helps other people like figuring out like, hey, why isn't mine working? What kind of a thing is it? So for the first little bit, so with AT&T, they recently like did a bunch of upgrades and pulled a bunch of things down in the last week or two. And what that did is change a couple things. So when I started doing that, data worked okay on the Pinephone. And then after a bit, it stopped working out of nowhere. And so when I flipped it back in and out, what would happen is it would basically the network would automatically shut off my SIM card from data, period, at all. So even if I put it into my A52, it wouldn't work. And from there, it's like I had to call in, get it reactivated, and things like that. I called in a couple different times to try and get my Pinephone working, and it's like, well, you can't do that. And this last time that I had called in, I was able to figure it out. But the reps that the customer support reps that you typically have at first are not well equipped for explaining what's going on. That's just the fact of the matter. So basically, after another time of calling in and asking about it, because what was it? Monday I had called in. I was going to another place. I was going somewhere and I had to like kind of like tell him to hang up on the hold call and all. And so on Tuesday, I call them back up. And I'm like, okay, so here's the problem. I'm running into this. I called Saturday about it to get my data activated, and it's off again after I switch it into this other phone. And the poor Indian lady on the other end, she's like, well, you can't do that. It's a 3G phone. And it's like, no, I'm telling you, it's a 4G capable phone. And she just wouldn't like, she just didn't understand what was going on. And so at the end of it, once I got my data reactivated in the A52, it's like when she asked the question, did I resolve your issue? I'm like, not quite. Can you patch me through to tech support? And she just like, you could hear the shock in her, like, uh, uh, it's not supposed to happen like this. And she's like, yeah, would you I didn't resolve your problem completely, but would you say you're one of my happy customers? I'm like, yes. The reason I'm asking you to patch me through to tech support is because I think they're better equipped to like help me solve my problem than you are. It's like, but would you count yourself as one of my happy customers? Yes. And I mean, what am I supposed to do? She's done all she can do and the best that she can with like what little script and all that she has. And so I can't fault her for that. She's not equipped for like what I'm trying to figure out. So once I get through to tech support, the gal on the other end, clearly not Indian actually, is able to look at what's going on. And so what the Pinephone has been doing is actually, so it starts trying to ping for 2G networks and 3G then 4G and back down. And she explained that, and it's like, so what the network does is when it tries to look for like anything lower than 4G, it basically automatically flags that SIM card and says, no, no more data on this. And I found that interesting. And apparently there's no way that on their end they can tell it to stop doing that. But, oh, for a couple things, it would be really nice if the default for like a lot of things for like the modem settings was set to only go to 4G. Because one of the problems, particularly with Fosh, I haven't looked at SXMO quite yet to figure it out, is Fosh doesn't persistently save the settings that you have when you're trying to use your mobile data. So it will go to 2G, 3G, 4G preferred by default, and that's what it does every time. And so when you try and restart the phone and get things reactivated again, it's going to go back through and do that thing again so that it gets flagged out on the AT&T network. And I know a bunch of other networks have been like upgrading, and I don't know if they do the same thing. But that can be a problem when like you're trying to evaluate a device, the usage capability of a device and things like that on your phone network, and all the functionality to make sure all the functionality works that's supposed to, when the network flags it as such because it sees that it's trying to check if this is available and then go up to the next one, versus the other way around, you're only sticking to the one. So far, like daily driving the Pinephone on AT&T, I've got to figure out like the 4G only settings and like kind of curb that before the modem really like tries to get into the network. But other than that, I mean, texting has worked just fine, so that's something. Bluetooth sort of works under SXMO. It works better under Fosh. I've had issues with my true wireless headphones, like cutting in and out on SXMO, but I think that may be a couple other issues. But yeah, other than that, it's like, yeah, data may be a problem with like upgraded networks. I've only had experience with the one, of course, so hopefully maybe down the road somebody can figure out like, hey, maybe we ought to change this and make the default something different so that everybody's not getting trashed on their phones. That would be nice. Cool projects if you could set that up. Or maybe it's just because I have my modem firmware is outdated. I haven't quite checked that just yet, but that's a possibility too. But hopefully this helped. Discord and whatnot, you know where the links are. VPS links, that's really cool. It helps make it easier to keep the PeerTube up and Pleroma and all that stuff. So yeah, I will see you guys later.